The galactic combat arena on Nexus Prime had seen warriors from 1,000 worlds, but never had the crowd erupted in such derisive laughter as when the Earth delegation stepped onto the ceremonial platform. Ambassador Thex of the Dominion Council barely suppressed his amusement as he watched the human representatives approach. "These are your finest warriors?" Thex inquired, his four eyes blinking in what passed for polite incredulity among his species. The beings before him hardly looked like the stuff of legend that recent Earth victories had suggested. Colonel Marcus Chen, 63 years old, with graying hair and a slight limp from an old wound, stood at attention beside his team. Staff Sergeant Maria Santos, missing her left arm from the elbow down, adjusted her cybernetic replacement with practiced ease. Behind them, Corporal James Mitchell sat in his hover chair, his legs lost to an IED on Mars Colony, while Captain Sarah Kim bore facial scars that told stories of battles fought in the darkness between stars. "These are Earth's veterans, Ambassador," replied General Patricia Wells, Earth's military attaché. They volunteered for this exhibition match. The exhibition had been proposed by the Galactic Defense Coalition as a way to assess Earth's military capabilities before considering humanity's application for full membership. The rules were simple: a simulated urban warfare scenario against the Zephyrian Elite Guard, the most feared soldiers in known space. In the arena's waiting area, the Zephyrian commander, War Prime Kethvar, studied the human team through his tactical display. Each Zephyrian stood nearly 8 feet tall, their exoskeletons gleaming with integrated weapons systems and shield generators. Their reflexes were enhanced to superhuman levels, their armor could deflect plasma fire, and their combat algorithms were updated in real time by quantum processors. "This will be over in minutes," Kethvar declared to his squad. "These aged and damaged humans cannot possibly pose a threat to genetically superior warriors." As the teams entered the simulated urban environment, a perfect replica of a contested city, complete with multi-level buildings, underground tunnels, and civilian areas, the galaxy watched through millions of viewing screens. Betting odds heavily favored the Zephyrians at 500 to 1. Dr. Elena Vasquez, Earth's military psychologist, observed from the command center. She had spent months working with these veterans, helping them transition from active duty to civilian life. What the galaxy didn't understand was that these soldiers carried something no amount of genetic enhancement could replicate: decades of actual combat experience. The match began at dawn in the simulated city. The Zephyrians, confident in their technological superiority, advanced in standard formation through the main thoroughfares, their sensors sweeping for enemy contacts. Their plan was textbook military doctrine, efficient, logical, and utterly predictable to anyone who had spent 20 years fighting asymmetric warfare. Colonel Chen, hidden in the rubble of a collapsed building, smiled grimly as he watched the enemy advance through his scope. "Santos, what do you see on the east flank?" he whispered into his comm. "2 of them moving through the marketplace, sir. They're scanning for heat signatures, but they're not looking up." Santos had positioned herself 3 stories above street level, having climbed there despite her prosthetic arm, using techniques learned in urban combat on Europa. "Mitchell, you in position?" Chen asked. From his concealed position in what appeared to be a destroyed shop, Corporal Mitchell confirmed. His hover chair had been modified with silent motors and additional sensor equipment. What others saw as a disability, he had turned into an advantage. His lower profile made him nearly invisible in urban terrain, and his enhanced upper body strength from years of adaptation made him deadly accurate with heavy weapons. The Zephyrians' first mistake was assuming the veterans would fight like conventional soldiers. Instead, the humans had studied their opponents for weeks, analyzing their tactics, identifying patterns, and exploiting the overconfidence that came with technological superiority. Captain Kim had taken position in the underground tunnels, using her knowledge of explosives to create choke points and ambush zones. Her facial scars weren't just from enemy fire, they were from a cave-in she had survived by staying conscious long enough to dig herself out. That experience had taught her patience and how to think three-dimensionally in confined spaces. The first Zephyrian fell to Santos's precision shot from an impossible angle. The alien warrior's enhanced reflexes couldn't compensate for an attack from a direction their tactical algorithms deemed improbable. His squad immediately moved to investigate, following standard protocol exactly what the humans expected. Colonel Chen had fought in the Outer Rim Wars, where human soldiers faced technologically superior enemies daily. He understood that victory didn't come from matching the enemy's strengths, but from exploiting their weaknesses. The Zephyrians' weakness was their reliance on technology and doctrine over adaptability. As the alien squad entered the marketplace to investigate their fallen comrade, they walked directly into Captain Kim's trap. The underground explosions weren't meant to kill, they were meant to collapse specific buildings, creating new sight lines and forcing the Zephyrians into predetermined positions. Corporal Mitchell emerged from concealment, his hoverchair's silent motors allowing him to appear seemingly from nowhere. His heavy plasma rifle, designed for anti-vehicle work, overwhelmed two Zephyrian shields before they could adapt their frequency settings. War Prime Kethvar, watching his elite soldiers fall to what he considered defective humans, abandoned standard tactics and ordered his remaining troops to converge on the humans' last known positions. It was exactly what the veterans wanted. The final engagement took place in the city center, where the Zephyrians expected to use their superior mobility and firepower to overwhelm the humans. Instead, they found themselves in a carefully orchestrated killing field, where every angle had been calculated, every sight line cleared, and every possible movement anticipated by soldiers who had survived decades of combat through experience, not enhancement. As the simulation ended, with the last Zephyrian falling to a coordinated crossfire, the arena fell silent. The impossible had happened. 4 injured, aging human veterans had defeated an entire squad of the galaxy's most feared elite soldiers. Ambassador Thex stared at the tactical display in disbelief. "How is this possible?" he demanded. General Wells smiled. "What you saw as weakness, their age, their injuries, their apparent limitations, those are actually their strengths. Every scar represents a lesson learned, every limitation an adaptation mastered. These veterans have something your enhanced warriors lack, the wisdom that comes from surviving when survival seemed impossible." Dr. Vasquez nodded. "We call it adaptive resilience. When you've learned to fight effectively despite injuries, age and equipment failures, you develop problem-solving skills that no amount of genetic enhancement can match." The galaxy had learned an important lesson that day. In their rush to create perfect soldiers through technology and genetic manipulation, they had forgotten that the most dangerous warrior was often the one who had learned to overcome their own limitations through experience, creativity, and sheer determination to survive. As the Earth veterans left the arena, Colonel Chen paused to address the stunned crowd. "We didn't come here to prove we were the strongest or the fastest. We came to show that experience, adaptability, and the refusal to give up can overcome any technological advantage. That's what makes a true warrior." The betting pools closed with millions of credits lost by those who had underestimated the power of human resilience and experience. Earth's application for full Galactic Defense Coalition membership was approved unanimously within the hour. In the end, the galaxy discovered that the most formidable weapons weren't always the most advanced ones, sometimes they were simply the most experienced.